social worker and I'm a supervisor, and I am the owner of Rise Counseling Group. I do have some handouts and some pamphlets about services that we offer up in the front. Feel free to grab that, and feel free if you have any questions. I'm all about answering questions. So today I want to talk to you about you and mental wellness, because it's really important to me in the line of work that I do that you take care of your mind as well as your body, spirit, everything, right? So I'm going to talk to you about mental wellness today. And like you said, at Rise, we primarily focus on women of color because we are impacted by depression and anxiety. We see high rates of that amongst women of color. We have a lot of issues that we deal with that are particular to us. And so that's who we focus on. And so we really try our best to work to improve the overall wellness for our clients. And we really enjoy working on the whole person, okay? So, alrighty. I'm trying to see this with the sun. So, one of the things that they did today up here, they were telling stories, and so I enjoyed the story time earlier today. And so I'm going to tell you a little story about myself. So, when I was 23, I was depressed, and I was having a lot of personal issues. Relationship-wise, that was kind of a crapshoot. Money-wise, I was fresh out of college, really not making a lot of money, so money was an issue for me. My physical health was not the greatest. I was pregnant, I was stressed, I was kind of all over the place. I had some previous health issues. I'm a 2-time cancer survivor, and so my health was really just kind of a major stressor for me. And my social life, I didn't really have one. I really kind of isolated myself and really just wanted to be by myself. And so I went to the doctor and I was screened. My doctor at the time just kind of looked at me and was like, you don't seem like you're doing okay, and just kind of asked me a few questions and was just like, are you depressed? And that question kind of changed the trajectory of my life, because I answered it honestly, and I told that doctor, yes, I am depressed. I felt bad all around, and I wanted help. I just didn't know how to ask for help, and I didn't really know what was out there in terms of getting help. So what they did is they referred me to a doctor, to a psychologist. I think it was a psychologist, now that I'm looking back on it. They referred me to a therapist, and so I went to see the therapist because of how I was feeling. But like I said, I didn't really know what to do up until that point. So it was going there to that therapist that really opened my eyes to all the different things that were going on in my life and how they were impacting me. And it was really through doing therapy that I learned that I had a lot of power within myself, and that I could change those situations for myself, and that I was really, it was really, my responsibility to really take care of myself. And so through doing therapy, my therapist introduced me to the concept of wellness, and he kind of broke it down for me and talked to me about what wellness was. And so wellness, there's like 8 categories to wellness. So you have emotional health, you have financial health, you have social health, you have spiritual health, you have occupational health, you have your physical health, intellectual health, and then environmental health. So those were kind of the tenets to wellness, and he broke that down for me, and we literally discussed each one of those areas, and he helped me to evaluate what that was looking like for my situation, what that looked like in my life, and then we worked on tools to change it, okay? So why the mind matters. So one of the things that we really went over, and one of the things that he really taught me, was how my mindset impacted how I felt, and it impacted how I behaved. And so in therapy terms, we call that CBT. So we look at how our thought processes impact our feelings, because we really do have control over our emotional health. It may not feel like it, but we do. And so in learning that my thought processes can impact how I feel, and then subsequently impact how I behave or what I choose to do, I knew that there were some changes that I had to make. So CBT is a very simplistic way of viewing things. It's a really simple way. It's kind of the basis of where a lot of therapists start. For myself, I also take, like I said, we look at the whole person. So I also take into account, gender, race. We look at socioeconomic status. We look at where a person is living. We're looking at childhood issues, trauma. We look at how they were parented. We look at all the things that make up a person, because that's different for everybody, but we do start with that CBT. We start with that triangle, and we look at just those basic things to start. But one thing that I learned is that my perception and my automatic thoughts really do impact how I feel in these areas on my end. So there was stuff that I could control, but there was also stuff that I couldn't control. So with the stuff that I couldn't control, I was taught that I can control how I respond. And so that was important for me, because in that, I still have power. When you don't feel like you have power, you still have power. And so I had to learn that I can't always control things that happen, but I can control how I respond to things. And so on my own therapy journey, I was challenged to take a hard look at those different areas. So we looked at those 8 areas of wellness. We looked at my specific circumstances, right? I'm a single mom. I was 23, I was pregnant, those different things. We looked at those specific circumstances for my life, and I was challenged to really, make some tough choices, make some different decisions, change some behaviors that were not helpful for me, and manage my feelings better around those situations. And so on my journey, I started to see improvement. That's what actually kind of like made me want to get into doing therapy, is because I saw the outcome and I saw the improvements in my own life. And so I saw my stress and physical health changing, because our mind and bodies are also connected, right? So when you're sad and depressed, or when you're anxious, a lot of times we feel it here in our stomachs. We feel those knots. A lot of times when we're stressed, we feel that tension in our necks. We get headaches, our eyes ache, different things may happen. We get those random aches and pains in our body, right? So when we're stressed, our physical health can deteriorate. Finances improve for me. I had to make some tough decisions. It was some stuff that I couldn't buy anymore. It was some choices that I couldn't make anymore. I had to make different choices to improve that area of my life. Social support. So when depressed, a lot of times we'll isolate, and when we isolate, we're cutting ourselves off from the people who care about us and care about what happens to us. And so it was a matter for me reaching out to those people that cared about me, that were really in my corner, that I cut myself off from. So increasing my social support, and then relationships, not only romantic relationships, but friendships and family relationships improved as well, because I learned how to set some boundaries. I learned how to do some things differently. I learned how to react to some things differently. And so, like I said, this encouraged me to actually, as I was going into grad school, pursue mental health specifically. So how can therapy help you live a well life? So obviously, as a therapist, I want everybody to have a therapist. I still have a therapist, and I am a therapist, because we all need somebody to talk to, right? So you can feel supported. It's really important for you to know that you do not have to carry a lot of those stressors and the things that cause depression and anxiety for you alone. And so therapy can provide you with that space to really get that stuff out there and to have somebody, not only as a sounding board, but somebody that's really invested in your wellness to listen to you, so you don't have to go it alone. You can also discuss whatever you want to discuss. So it's important for you to know it's confidential and it's judgment free. So you enter a judgment free zone and it's confidential, meaning we can't tell anybody what's going on. I tell my clients, because I usually have my hair, you know, big and my twist outs and all that stuff, and I tell them my hair is so big because it's full of all these secrets that people tell me. And so it grows, right? Because people come in and they have a lot of stuff that they're holding on to, and they're like, I just don't know if I can really tell you this. And I tell them it's judgment free. I make no judgments about what I hear, and it's also confidential. So I'm not telling your business to anybody. You can set goals and achieve them. So for me, I set goals around, you know, different areas in my wellness journey. And so you can also set goals and work to achieve them. Now it's work. So it's not like you're gonna come and sit on the couch and that's like get comfortable, and no, you have to leave out after that session and apply what we've talked about and do what we talk about, and really put that into practice for yourself to make changes. And so you can also start to shape your outlook, lead into changes in other areas of your life, like the financial, the occupational, those different things. And sometimes you might just need to come in and vent. You can let those emotions out. It's a safe space, and you can improve your physical health. So like I said, the body, when you stressed out and when you're depressed and anxious, you do feel that in your body. And so your physical health can improve as a result of just talking to somebody about what's going on and letting it out. It's time that is set aside for you to really deal with your issues. So that stuff that you've been like, I probably need to go and talk to somebody about this. I'm gonna call somebody in a minute, I'll do it later. That time is set aside for you. So you have that hour or however long you need, because sometimes it's more than an hour, but you have that time to really get the stuff that you want to get out. So if it's something from like 10 years ago, because you've been mad at whoever for whatever reason, and you still holding on to that, and it's really causing you all that pain, that's the time for you to get that out. You can gain self-awareness. You learn so much about yourself in therapy because it's really about you, because that's all that we can control. And so it's about you learning about you. And you can see different perspectives. So, you know, the therapist may challenge you to think differently. They may challenge your viewpoint. It's not meant to be mean. It's just giving you an alternate view of things and giving you a different way of viewing things that can help improve how you're feeling. And most importantly, just helping you to learn how to cope with your daily life better, because we all have stressors, we all have things that we're going through, and sometimes we just don't know healthy ways to cope with what's going on. And so therapy can also be beneficial in that way. And so with that, that's all I have for today. Are there any questions, or does anyone have any questions or things that they want to ask before I get off the stage that you put me on? No?
That's it. Thank you. Are there therapy options available for people with limited funds and no insurance?
Yes. So one organization that we work with is Open Path Collective. And so Open Path Collective it's a nonprofit organization, and you basically buy a membership. It's a one-time fee, I think of like $49, and you pay that's a lifetime. That's all you pay. And so when you work with the Open Path Collective, when you come through there, you get your sessions at a reduced cost. There's also agencies that utilize counseling or social work students to also provide therapy. And so typically they'll have reduced rates for folks that aren't able to afford full session fees. And then, like my practice, we take insurance where some folks are just paying their copay or deductible, and then sometimes folks will get pro bono therapy depending on the situation. So it's possible. And like we take Medicaid, so we take CareSource in our office where folks don't have a copay.
Okay. Anyone else have a question? All right, let's give our sister oh, yes sir.
Have you considered ways to bring this message to different institutions, specifically the church?
Well, I mean, I'm here. I would love to partner with churches and talk about mental health, and you know, I don't have a church home right now, but I've been visiting. Yeah, we can chat.
All right, let's please give a round of applause to our sister. Beautiful job. We know that mental health is wealth. Next, I want to introduce a brother who will bring up our next speaker. But before I do, I would like you all who want to sign Sister Nita Wiggins' book to come over to this table, and she will sign your book and answer any questions that you might have. I'd also like to recognize real quick a powerful sister who is sitting in the audience, Sister Karen Thompson. Yes, I would like to introduce my sister. That sister right there is a lifeline for many sisters, women across the board. She does an excellent job, and she's a beautiful sister, mentally, physically, and spiritually. So with that, I want to bring on Brother Dexter, who helped me bring a lot of speakers onto this podium, along with Sister Rhonda. I would like to thank her as well, and I'll let you go.
All right, thank you, Steve. Rhonda, thank you. Nita, thank you so much. Your wonderful book, oh my gosh. And Juanita, fantastic. Hey, we're gonna talk about financial education real quick. I have Dr. Tasha Macklin. She is a clinical psychologist, but she's also a certified financial advisor. She is a member of the APA. She is also from Lima, Ohio. She has some great things to tell you, and she says she's going to talk fast. She's going to give it to you fast, and she's going to give you some great information that you absolutely need to hear. Tasha, come on up. Come this way. I'm going to point out the cords. Don't step on it. Don't step on that one, that one, or that one. Tasha Macklin, everybody.
All right.
It's on?
Yeah, you're good.
Oh, okay, good. All right, awesome. Yes, I'm going to talk fast because I naturally talk fast, but I'm also going to talk fast because it's hot. And I got on black, and I didn't realize it was going to be this hot. So, but as he said, I am a licensed financial advisor, and I started out in clinical psychology, got my degree there, and I really, as I was working with families, mostly children and their parents and things like that, one of the things I noticed is that all of the families and children that I worked with that found themselves in the mental health realm, they also had other things in common, like low socioeconomic status. So I started to get into the financial field for myself, but as well as for the families that I worked with. And one of the big things that I noticed, guys, is that we don't know what we don't know. Okay, so there's a lot of miseducation and a lot of non-education. One of the things that, if we look at our history as a people, you know, things were kept from us intentionally. Okay, there were things that we weren't allowed to have, things that were kept from us by law, politics, different things like that. So I'm going to start just as a freed people, when we first were freed from slavery, we were able to come out, but we had no assets, right? So what makes a person able to be mobile in our society is having assets, things that we can, have and own. We didn't have anything. That percentage was 0.5% of the entire country's wealth is what black people had at that time. Okay, walking straight out of slavery. Now, if we fast forward to today, 2019, we have about 1.5% of the country's wealth. So how do we move from just 1% from that time frame? We're more educated, we have more degrees, we can get better jobs, and we have nothing still. How is that possible? How is that possible? So for me, I wanted to bring light to the fact that it's possible because, again, we're still kept from things that now we're allowed to have, but we just don't know how to get them. And one of the biggest things that goes in hand with is politics. So if we think about the political aspects of our country and voting and things like that, we vote for people, and a lot of times we'll go out and vote for somebody because of the color of their skin, but that doesn't always mean that they're for us. We have to be educated enough to go out and look at what they're actually about. What are they doing for our people? What has moved for us since the last presidency? What has moved in our counties and things like that, right? So we want to look at those things, but the thing that we're most control of is our individuality and what we can do for ourselves. So for me, as a financial advisor, I sit down with families all the time and I help them with their individual finances. I help them to understand what it means to have a budget, what it means to have insurance protection, what it means to have investments and things like that. A lot of times the narrative is, don't trust the banks. Well, I can point to a lot of reasons not to trust the banks, right? We can go all the way back to the Freedman's Bank. We know that we put all our money in that bank and then the money disappeared and we were said, sorry, and we never got that back. We can fast forward to today, and just a couple of years ago, Fifth Third Bank, they're now paying out millions of dollars to black and brown people because they were giving us interest rates higher than everybody else without any reason but the color of our skin. Right? So we have reason not to trust the banks. But my question to you is if we don't start investing, if we don't start somewhere, it's 6 in one hand and half a dozen in the other, right? We still lose. We're still going to lose. So we have to start someplace, and for me, that is educating people on their individual situation. We have to start protecting our assets. We have to start growing our assets. I have conversations with people all the time about life insurance, something that's very, very cheap. It's very easy to get. Life insurance is a legacy builder. It is the quickest way to build a legacy for your family upon your death. Right? But more than any families that I sit with, black families will sit across the table and say things to me like, I don't want them getting rich off of me dying. Right, and I want to say it again. I don't want them getting rich off of me dying. I've never had a white family tell me that. Ever. Why? Because it's silly. If anybody stands to gain from you passing away, shouldn't it be the people you love the most? Absolutely. Or should they be left with debt because you had nothing and now they got to try to figure out how to bury you? And I know from my own personal experience, having a GoFundMe account or a pancake breakfast or calling the church and things like that is not how you build legacy. It's barely how you get a person into the ground. And it shouldn't be that way. So life insurance is the foundation of what I teach families about. Get yourself some life insurance. And if you're super healthy and really young, get yourself a lot of life insurance because it's really cheap. Right? And you have a legacy to build for your family. Now, seeing that a lot of people, black people specifically, live a long time. I know in my family we got people in their 90s and things like that, live a long time. You're going to want to invest your money so that way you have the ability to live a life that you want to live. Right? Some people don't want to travel, they don't want to live extravagantly, they just want to live a nice lifestyle at home. But it doesn't matter how you want to live, but you still have to prepare for that. So you have to invest. There are plenty of investments that are safe. There are plenty of investments that are not, stock, crashes and things like that is what we think of when we think of investments. There are a lot of things that you can do that will help you to move your family, move yourself in a direction of being able to retire. Right? I see way too many people going back to a job because they can't afford to be retired. Right? They're getting an additional job. They're retiring and then going back later. Okay, a lot of people are not keeping up with their retirement, and what's happening is a lot of times companies are leaving now, they're getting bought off by other companies, and people are actually losing their retirements because they can't find them. I have 2 clients now who we are trying so hard to find out what happened to their retirement money because their companies have been bought 3 and 4 times. But if we can't find it, no one's being held accountable for that. And you're talking about one client 30 years, another client 45 years at the same job. That money is going to be gone and nobody to be held accountable for it. So we have to take personal responsibility for where our money's going, what it's doing. We have to own things. I know my grandmother, when she passed away, she owned 2 houses. Okay, and it's not something she taught me. So I was more upset about the fact she didn't teach me how to own anything than the fact that she passed it down. I was excited to have the houses, but I didn't know what to do with them. Okay, she rented out one and she lived in the other. But she owned things. She had life insurance. She had investments, my grandmother, but she never passed it on. So if these are things that you're doing, pass that on to your kids. Pass that on to your grandkids. Don't keep it to yourself. Don't assume that we know, because I'm telling you, we don't know. And we just start over. We start at the very beginning, sometimes even further back from the start line. You want us to start where you finished, right? You don't want us to have to start either where you started or start further back. So pass that information on. And if there's something that I can do to assist you, get you information, I would love to do that. I actually have an office in Columbus, Ohio, so I work out of there, but I'm from Lima. I work out there. I went to school at Wright State, so I'm in Dayton as well. So if there's anything I can do to help, to assist you, get you information, please let me know. But I'm going to get off of here because I'm burning up, y'all. Thank you so much.
Yeah!
Let's go ahead and give it up to our Sister Tasha for once again for some very good and informative information. Once again, knowledge is power. This is Knowledge Cipher Conference Series, where we ask professionals to come and speak to us on issues impacting the Black community. Because as W.E.B. Du Bois was talking about, we have a talented tenth, the head, if you will, and then we have the masses of the people, the body, but the two are not connected. They're disconnected. And so as a result of that, we are powerless to really move effectively in our community.
You gotta have knowledge for life. 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 You gotta have knowledge